You've been doing the right stuff. You downloaded the apps, you've been budgeting, you've read the books, you've watched videos, you've done all the things that you were supposed to do, but you haven't gotten the progress you expected to see at this point in time. There is a reason for that, and that is when you've collected all of these different sources from all of these different people, that's not a true strategy and plan that is specific to you. That's just clutter. It can be helpful at times, but a Robert Kiyosaki method is different than a Dave Ramsey method. It's different from all of these different other people. That ends up in clutter, and it can end up in noise and conflict too, because all those different things were written in different times and a whole different economy. So what happens when you have a clear plan, and how powerful can a good, clear financial plan make in your life? Let's go ahead and break it down. The first one is clarity and focus. You are able to tune out the noise and know what is for you and what is not for you. For example, a lot of fours there, is this: buying a home. I'm gonna be honest with you, all right? It ain't for everybody. It may have been more affordable 30 years ago. And also it depends on what your location is. But a personal story for me is when I was in New York City as a transplant is a key here. As a transplant, we moved to New York City. I'm in North Carolina now, but when I moved to New York City in 2014, buying a home was not gonna happen. All right, for those that know, if you transplanted to New York City and you are fresh, first generation New York City person, you are unlikely to buy a house. And the reason is buying a home there, it's like $2 million, especially in Manhattan. Now, if you are out in the suburbs or, you know, in some of the other boroughs, that's a different story. But if you're in Manhattan, I was in Harlem specifically, that's $2 million to get a spot. That's not gonna happen. Not as a millennial. Not with the salary I had. Even with $100,000, you know, even with $150,000, you can make $200,000. You are unlikely to afford a $2 million house in your 20s. At that age with a regular job, you gonna need something extra, right? You gonna need some grandpa money, right? That's not something that's realistic. If you are someone who has been generations deep in New York City, that is a whole different story, where home ownership, you could have been in it a long time before, right? You could have rented out properties and saved. It's a whole different story from someone who just started yesterday, you know, in a sense, and done it that way. Until I moved. Right? Until I moved back further south where I am from, and my situation was different. These things need to be tailored to you, where you are. Keyword, when you are, is extremely important as well. Trying to compare my life or your life to where your parents were at that point in time, that's not going to work either. That's a lot of noise, a lot of comparison, and a lot of clutter in your mind too. There are a lot of old finance books that don't really apply to where we are today. Yeah, paying off your debt is important, but also if you have a car loan that is 1% because you got it back in, I don't know, 2020 or 2021, hey dog, you might want to invest instead, right? My mortgage, right under 3%. I'm not in a rush to pay off this mortgage. Debt is not great. Okay, it's not great, but I don't need to rush and pay this off. If the market last year made 17%, you got to sit down and say, hey, does this work for me? But the only way you know that is if you have clarity. And the only way you can have clarity is by having a clear financial plan. Because the other thing is, when you don't have a clear plan, you're trying to do 5 or 6 or 7 different things because you don't know who or what to listen to. And I know for a fact that can get frustrating. I know from a personal experience as someone who runs a business, it's like, well, do I hop on TikTok now? Do I do YouTube videos? Do I do shorts? They just change stuff on Instagram. Like, that's how it is, but for your money, right? It is exactly like that, but for your money. Because, oh, gold is up, Bitcoin is up, this stock is taking out. Do I need to invest more in AI? Whoa. When you're spreading your money out in all these different places, how much should you put in an IRA, which I do in my 401k? They just changed the limits over here. When you start to spread yourself out so far, you're not going to make the progress. And you're going to start to say, hey, wait a minute, I feel behind where I should be. You're going to start to see those things online where it says, hey, you need to have X amount by 45. You're going to see X amount by 30. And you're like, wait a minute, I'm behind. Why is that? Because you're trying to do 50 different things because you don't have a good, clear plan that's supposed to fit for you. What you're trying to do is just tackle all the things all the time instead of saying, wait, you don't actually have to do all 5 of those things. You actually need 3 of those things today. And then once you hit that, then you need to hit the next thing. When you focus your efforts, you can actually move forward because you have more force moving in that direction. That is how you have to have it. But again, you got to have a plan. You got to have clarity to do those things. Now, if you already started on this and this really hits home and you're like, yeah, I do feel like I did a lot of the right stuff, but I'm not seeing the progress, and I do feel behind, I am the financial planner that is for you. And me and you can talk one-on-one at buildingbread.com/call-Kev. Now, the next piece of this is priorities. There are a lot of things, especially in the last 20 years, or I can even argue the last like 10 years, especially, a lot of things that have changed in the economy that have made finance a lot more complex. All right, previous generations, all you had to do was go to work for 20 years, 25 years, and you were done. They're gonna give you a pension, it's gonna pay you the rest of your life, and that was it. You didn't even need a college diploma to have to deal with student loans. And if you did, they were still cheap. That's not the case no more. It's not. It's not. If you go to college, it's really expensive. If you want to buy a home, that's also really expensive. Then you got to worry about the stock market. Then you got to decide whether or not you want to invest in crypto. Now gold is doing, it's a lot. Okay, it's a lot. I get it. That's why, I help you plan out those things. But more importantly, you got to sit down and decide what are your priorities. Everything needs to go in order, and everything can't be number one at the same time. All right. If you want to see real progress, and the power of having a plan is deciding 1, 2, and 3. Draw a line. These are the 3 things that need to happen. These are 3 things that are more important, or most important rather, and this is how we're going to do it. Once those 3 things are done, we can take the next 3 priorities and then start to attack those. That is how you truly move from point A to point B, and do so in a way that matters. In a way that matters. Not doing so is saying, hey, I got a whole bunch of stuff I want to do, and then every year you keep looking back, yeah, I want to get out of debt, and you just like stay in the exact same cycle every single year with the exact same resolutions and not get anywhere because you never sat down, truly prioritize what the goal was and started to work towards that progress. This is what having a real clear plan can help you to do. If you want to learn more about how to create a plan or talk one-on-one with me, go to buildingbread.com/call-Kev. And if you want to learn more about investing and financial planning in general, you can check out these videos right here.